But about the only time I ever really experience a full contentment is right after I eat a nice meal. There are a few other occasions that I might experience contentment, but it comes and goes in this life. But we have a time coming when we won't have to seek contentment anymore. Contentment will be our life. A full satisfaction will be our life. It's not hard to see the sweetness of that. And when we think about what we deserve, we think about how we spurn the Word of God and how we have sinned. And even after we've been saved, we think about how we have continued to sin from time to time, sometimes often, sometimes we backslide, we fall away from Christ. And yet God has promised that He will still deliver on these things for us because we are now His people. It's not hard to understand the sweetness of these things. And with all of that, what could possibly be bitter? Well, there are two aspects to this bitterness. There's one that's temporary, and there's one that's lasting. The temporary is the bitterness of our daily death as we take up our own cross and we follow Jesus. You know, there's a cost. In fact, Jesus tells us to count the cost of following Him. There's a very real cost, and we may experience that as a bitterness. In fact, when we first run across that idea, and when we first realize that this is not just a saying that sounds good to talk about, that it's cool to say, oh, we died to ourselves. This is something that Jesus Christ actually expects us to do. And we are to die to ourselves and live for Him. We are to take up our cross and put aside all the problems of our lives and enter into the kingdom work. And that can seem bitter. But it's temporary, because as we actually enter into that, if we actually obey, what we will find is that we find joy in that, because we find that's how God glorifies Himself in us. And as we push into that and press into that, and as we follow in obedience, we realize that our satisfaction even in this life, that our contentment even in this life is directly correlated with our obedience to God as He glorifies Himself in our life.